Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my ranking of the new releases I saw in theaters for March 2018. There were a lot of movies to come out in the month of March, and I didn't even see them all. I wasn't able to get to films like Hurricane Heist or I Can Only Imagine or Girl, It's Not Dead 3. But I did end up seeing a total of 15 movies that had their theatrical release in the month of March. And I have to say, March actually was kind of a weird month for me in doing this ranking. I knew the films that were going to be at the very top, and I knew the last couple of films that were going to end up at the bottom. But all of those middle films are kind of just in there for me. I didn't really hate them. I didn't really love them. Some of them were guilty pleasures, but could I really rank them above some other films? It was very difficult to put together this March ranking. But it has been done. The list has been finalized, and now I present you with a very easy decision. At number 15, I have Sherlock Holmes. This was easily the worst film that I saw in theaters for March. Really, it was just not funny, and it exemplified the phrase, sequel nobody asked for. It honestly didn't really do anything well. It didn't do anything to stick out from every other standard to substandard animation released into theaters. Voice cast was fine, and the animation was fine, but you expect that from this level of production. The script was just a mess, and ultimately, it wasn't funny. It was saddled with a very annoying and grating villain, and honestly, that kind of summed up the film. A little bit annoying and kind of grating, without any real heart to make up for it. At number 14, I have Midnight Sun. One of many teenage romances that we have already received early on in 2018. Unfortunately, I think that this is the worst yet. Every single cliche that you could think of is thrown into Midnight Sun. Add to that a premise similar to something we saw in Everything, except not executed even that well, and you get a movie that just feels played out and not that good. And Midnight Sun is just, at best. At number 13, I have A Wrinkle in Time. It actually pains me to put A Wrinkle in Time down this far on my list, but I was very, very disappointed with this film. It looked gorgeous, I'll give it that. It was a beautiful film. Unfortunately, that script is such a mess. There is no coherent story to be found. And then you add in all of these useless side characters that have either nothing to do or seemingly are only there to get on your nerves. And we have Wrinkle in Time, a beautiful film with beautiful costumes and wonderful makeup, but really, it lacks the substance underneath. It doesn't ever fully realize the movie it's trying to be. At number 12, I have Pacific Rim Uprising. This film is definitely a step down in nearly every single department from the original Pacific Rim. The script is just terrible. I mean, the dialogue in this movie is so bad that it was a little bit painful to even listen to. Add to that overall bland, cliche, boring characters, and there's very little to actually care about when it comes to Pacific Rim Uprising. It is your cliched, big blockbuster film that feels a whole lot like a Michael Bay production, far more than it does a Guillermo del Toro sequel. Thankfully, we have good special effects, and we have a great performance from John Boyega that just oozes charisma and personality that lift this up above the 3 entries below, but still doesn't deserve to get much higher. At number 11, I have The Strangers Prey at Night. I have to admit, this definitely falls in guilty pleasure territory for me. I ended up having quite a bit of fun with The Strangers Prey at Night. Unfortunately, that only accounts for about the second half of the movie when it really starts finding its footing, and arguably, that's only the last act of the film. But what keeps this from being able to break into the top 10 is the beginning is so slow, the dialogue is so bad, and the acting is so wooden. Plus, throughout the entirety of the film, these characters just make dumb decision after dumb decision after dumb decision, and you get a whole lot of horror cliches thrown in amongst them. It is ripe with this wonderful 80s ridiculousness. The pool scene with all of that neon alone deserves to get bumped up above these other entries. So there is a lot of campy, ridiculous fun to be had here, but you have to wade through a whole lot of garbage to get there. At number 10, I have Red Sparrow. Very similar to Pacific Rim and A Wrinkle in Time, Red Sparrow looks gorgeous. It is filmed beautifully. The cinematography is done well. Everything from a technical standpoint, I would say, is very well executed. This movie is a beautiful film. And it is held down by a wonderful performance from Jennifer Lawrence. Maybe her best in years. The problem is, the pacing is so slow. It doesn't move, really. And when it does start moving, it then drops back down to a 0. Add to that this overt sexualization that felt overly gratuitous in my opinion. We had this spy school that was nothing more than a prostitution school, and you get this cliche of a femme fatale. It doesn't offer anything new to the female spy character. Actually, it feels like a bit of a regression for female spies. Plus, these characters are so void of any character that it's hard to really attach or feel for any of these. And when you add that to an already sluggish, hollow-feeling film, there's not much to really care about for a good portion of Red Sparrow. At number 9, I have Gringo. I know a lot of people aren't all that high on Gringo. I actually found it to be a pretty fun film. Again, of course there are cliches all over the place, but I thought that there was enough intelligent humor to be had here, as well as some nice undertones with the plot and the story that were going on, that it was a good time. Charlize Theron definitely is eating up that scenery, although she has plenty of ridiculous lines thrown in herself. Joel Edgerton, with his second entry in a row on this list, is definitely a weak point, but I think that the other characters are having fun. There are too many storylines, and a lot of them devolve and go nowhere, but our main storyline is one that I think kept me interested, kept me laughing and giggling throughout. So, not a perfect comedy, maybe a little bit boring, but I enjoyed it, and that's why it's at number 9. At number 8, I have Death Wish. Another one that a lot of people didn't really like, but I had a pretty fun time with. And I think that came down to expectation. I was expecting a big, dumb action film, and I was expecting a pretty bad one. What I got was an Eli Roth-tinged, really gruesome, pretty inventive action film that had some awesome kills to be had. And it was a shoot-'em-up, oh man, action movie. It was a revenge flick. It gave me everything that I thought it would give me, but it gave me that added style. It gave me that added inventiveness that I wasn't anticipating, even in the slightest, and that got it up to number 8. I thought this was actually a pretty fun film. So, there you go. At number 7, I have Unsane. So this is a movie that I have to say I like less and less the more I think about it. I really think it looks horrible. It looks like it was filmed on a phone, and I think the cinematography is terrible. The staging of the camera work is not great. And then you add that staging in with the camera work, and it does add in a little bit of claustrophobia, but that could have been done on a professional camera as well, and just as effectively. Not to mention some really amateurish shot selections and editing skills that really, Steven Soderbergh, you're above that. Plus, it is riddled with these cliches, with these stupid moments that you're just like, how did this happen? For what is a great script when you're speaking of the dialogue, like the dialogue here is top notch, it's really good. But when you look at the story itself and that portion of the script, it's really not very good at all. But Claire Foy is such a powerhouse. She is so good in this movie that she literally elevates all of that material. And she's pretty much the reason this gets up to number 7. At number 6, I have Acrimony. That's right, you just heard me put a Tyler Perry film over a Soderbergh film. And that's because I just had a lot more fun with this movie. Much like Death Wish, I knew what I was going in getting when it came to Acrimony, and it delivered that and then some. This is definitely Tyler Perry's best crafted film to date. It looked gorgeous, and it was actually edited pretty well, and that sound design, integrating in the music with the dialogue and the script, was done way better than Tyler Perry has ever done it. Add to that a wonderful performance from Taraji P. Henson and really our entire cast, and I had a fun time. This is one that has a lot to say about marriage and actually creates this complex situation in which you understand both sides of the coin to an extent, and a really campy, ridiculous third act that is just so much fun. And you get this pretty fun thriller. Unfortunately, it still has the Tyler Perry script, and that definitely knocks it down a bit. And the script is a mess. And there are a ton of cliches in here as well. And that's what keeps it from being in my top 5 films. But I had a pretty fun time with it, and that's what gets it up to number 6. At number 5, I have Tomb Raider. I thought this was a whole lot of fun. Alicia Vikander killed it as Lara Croft, and honestly, the script killed it in creating a really strong Lara Croft character. The action was fun, we were actually raiding tombs here, and it felt like something that was true to the video games, because it kind of actually unfolds like a video game from level to level, from one task to the next. But it was fun. It mixed in the fun of the video game to a little bit more serious of an action film, and it all worked really well. Yeah, none of our side characters get any sort of development, and most of them are kind of useless. But hey, we're here to see Lara Croft do some awesome action, kick some butt, and that's what I got. So that's why this is at number 5. At number 4, I have Ready Player One. This movie was just Spielberg returning to fun. He created this really wonderfully immersive experience with the Oasis. I just loved everything about being inside of that Oasis. It was riddled with really fun little Easter eggs of pop culture, and that Shining scene alone pretty much guaranteed this being in my top 5. Add to that really strong performances, in particular from Ben Mendelsohn, who is a great villain here. And this was just a really good time. This was Spielberg back to just creating immersive, fun entertainment. I didn't love the real world stuff, and it didn't feel like it broke a whole lot of new ground for me. And that's maybe why my excitement for the film doesn't elevate it into the top 3, but it's definitely a fun enough time to get it into the top 5, up to number 4. At number 3, I have Thoroughbreds. What a crazy, fun, awesome little indie. Our 2 leads here kill it. These 2 young ladies really elevate the entire film, because if they weren't able to pull off the characterizations they needed to, it all would have fell flat. But they are definitely aided by a really solid, really strong script that takes any sort of teenage film that you're expecting going into Thoroughbreds and flips the script on it. This movie is filled with twists and turns, so Ready Player One didn't offer a whole lot that we weren't expecting. Thoroughbreds offered a whole lot we wouldn't expect from a film of this sort. Not to mention Anton Yelchin in his final performance was fantastic. This movie was inventive, it was smart, it was funny, it was well acted, well written, well directed, and thus it gets up to number 3. At number 2, I have Isle of Dogs. Wes Anderson returns to animation with his latest stop-motion offering, and is it a delight. The animation is absolutely stunning, it's just gorgeous, it is just the amount of quirky mixed with just well executed. All of the wonderful Wes Anderson isms that we have come to expect and love are here, and they're here in spades. And that starts with a fantastic script, because that's what Wes Anderson does. He creates wonderful worlds through his scripts and then brings them to life through his very unique brand of directing. And Isle of Dogs does that. It creates this post-apocalyptic world featuring dogs, and it's an ode to said dogs. And I love animals, I love dogs, I love most all creatures that we share the earth with, so I was just in for a wonderful time. And at number 1, I have Love, Simon. I've now seen this film 3 times, and each time I think I love it just a bit more. What a wonderful, well-executed, coming-of-age high school film. This is one of the best high school set films I think we've gotten in the past 18 years. It is that good. The script is really strong. These characters are all lovable, they are all relatable, and you just like them. It stands up there with some of the best coming-of-age stories I think of all time. I think it is really that solid and strong. The script is just so well done that even when we do foray into the cliches, it still resonates with everyone. Plus, it's obviously breaking new ground. This is the first mainstream LGBTQ-based film, but the beauty of it, the magic of it all, is that it's relatable to everyone. It doesn't linger on that. That's not really the end-all, be-all premise of what's happening here, and that's where everyone is able to kind of see themselves within Simon or relate to various characters. I just absolutely love this film. I had the most enjoyment watching this film, and I can't wait to experience it again. That's why it ranks as number 1 for my March 2018 ranking. So that's how I rank the March releases. How do you rank the March movies you saw? Let me know either in the comment section down below, or of course, you can hit me up on Twitter. Also, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe down below and hit that like button. I love you all so much for your continued support. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!